my PFP is sitting in this audience. So I've had a PFP for 10 years, and I think it's a message that I'd like to give even investors who are watching, that as a CEO of a mutual fund, being in finance, 29-year career, 22 of that in investments and finance, but I absolutely have my own personal financial advisor because I've definitely got to be living what I speak to people. Money is emotional, and you need a perfect guide. But let me try. And so it was easy for me to make this presentation because I have the experience of having a PFP, and I could tell people as to why I think that you should have a PFP. So let me start with a leaf out of mythology. Many of you who have attended some of my earlier presentations might have seen this, but for some of you and some of the investors, it might be new. But I'm going to be talking a little bit about a very, very different, unconventional meaning of the Mahabharata. And we all know this great epic. And in this epic, Dhritarashtra is the blind king. I've heard it from my grandmother and my mother that the Mahabharata is a beautiful story, but the Mahabharata is what's happening inside of you, inside of every human being. So it's a representation of what's happening inside of you. Dhritarashtra is a blind king, and he's essentially your brain. The brain doesn't see anything. It perceives every sense that comes to it, which is why Dhritarashtra is a blind king, and he represents your brain. The 100 Kauravas are nothing but the negative emotions and feelings that play on this blind brain. And you know how they affected Dhritarashtra to take the decisions that he took. Now, if you want to defeat these negative influences, you have the 5 Pandavas. And the 5 Pandavas are nothing but your 5 senses. Every human being has just 5 senses, right? Now, the question then is, who is Draupadi? Draupadi is purpose and passion. It's not enough just to have your 5 senses. It's important that the 5 senses are working together on a common purpose. In the story of the Mahabharata, Draupadi opens up her hair and says, I'm going to tie this only with the blood of Duryodhana. And she puts all the 5 brothers on one task, right? And so that's purpose, that's passion. And Krishna is the Sarathi, the conscience, the guide. I've always, of course, been intrigued by who's Karna, because he was the eldest brother, but he ends up on the wrong side and he dies. Karna, my friends, is ego. Every individual has an ego. And if you don't kill the ego, if you think about success in your personal life or your professional life, what comes in between all the time? Somebody's ego, right? I'm bigger than you. I'm better than you. I'm greater than you. What I'm saying is right. Ego is what trips us up in our journey. So what I intend to do is that to say that every person has personal blind spots. Every person also has personal purpose and goal. And every person wants to grow, just as a human being. So let me talk about the Sarathi, this professional, and the need for that professional, because what the professional does, or what the Sarathi does, is actually control your bias, your personal blind spot, your ego. And that's what a professional will tell you. They will tell you what you need to know, not what you want to know. Every time when we ask questions, we sometimes already know the answer, or we want to hear it from somebody else. But a professional is somebody who tells you what you need to know, not what you want to know, right? Second, a Sarathi supports your purpose. It keeps the focus on your goal. That's the Sarathi that you have. And as far as the last thing is concerned, the Sarathi also helps you sharpen your 5 senses. He or she is your knowledge partner, which is why that professional plays, this is the role he or she plays in your life. It's not about calculations and some stuff. Calculators can do it, machines can do it, fintechs can do it, but human beings have a different purpose in your life, especially professionals. Now, what is therefore the purpose of wealth, right? And if you look at research, if you look at behavioral finance, and we heard a lot about it, the purpose of wealth can actually be divided into 3. The first is utilitarian, for necessities. You need money to buy a house, a car, food, and whatever it is. A distributor can do that job for you. It is expressive. You need wealth and money to express yourself, to display your status. Well, a distributor can do, but it is also emotional. It needs to make you feel that you're the provider, that you don't have the anxiety. That's where you need a professional. Many of the investors and gentlemen, people that I know are on a journey of wealth creation themselves. Do it yourself, do it whatever, do it on an app or whatever it is. Of course, you can get the first two inherent needs done, the utilitarian part of it, the expressive part of it. But if you want to really go full circle and get the emotional benefit of wealth, you need somebody who can reduce your anxiety and tell you, enjoy your wealth. So that's where the professional comes in. And you need three essential friends, right? And I think you've heard this, we've heard it from our friends, we've heard it from family. Ek doctor, ek lawyer ka hona bahut zaruri hai, family friend hona, because you can quickly, deal with an emergency. And I think that you need three friends. You need the doctor, yes, you need the lawyer, and you need the personal finance professional, because the doctor is going to help protect your health. The lawyer will help protect your assets, but the personal finance professional protects your lifestyle. And that's what everybody is looking for, not just utilitarian benefits. So let me go and say that in today's world, that lifestyle risk is increasing. We know the geopolitical situation. We know the central bank situation. You heard some of the experts speak. But even intuitively, we know that this is what people call a VUCA world. A VUCA standing for V for volatility, U for uncertain, C for complex, A for ambiguous. It is a VUCA world. Everything around you is volatile, complex, and ambiguous and uncertain. We know about that. So longevity risk, and I spoke about that a little later, the fact that good health and hopefully the action that you take can actually make you live longer becomes a risk as longevity risk, because you want to live a happy, fulfilling life all through to the end. And escalating costs. Look at cost of education, look at cost of health. They're only rising. So in today's world, and especially for the years that are coming forward rather than the 30 years that have gone by, I think it's anybody's guess that it's going to get even more tough, because the old order is being challenged. You have the kind of geopolitical issues, capitalism is being questioned, and there are so many paradigm shifts that are happening in the world that that's going to affect us as people and going to affect our investments as well. So then let me tell you why and when you don't need a personal finance professional. What are the times that you don't need one? Well, the first one is if you have a crystal ball. If you're an investor who has a crystal ball, who knows where the market is going and what products will do and what returns you can get, you don't need a personal finance professional. And a qualified professional, therefore, is one who knows that there is no crystal ball, but there are guardrails. There are guardrails, and that is in their risk process. So it is possible to get to the goals that you want to, but not by looking into a crystal ball, following a process. Every investor wants returns. The other side of that coin is risk. And your personal finance professional is first your risk manager before he or she is your investment manager. And that's the value add that you get from that relationship. The second reason why you don't need a personal financial planner is if you think you're special. If you think that the laws don't apply to you. Let me give you an example. I will win the lottery, but he will get cancer. We don't think about bad things happening to us. We think about bad things happening to other people. And a personal finance professional works on increasing your probability of success. Not all great ideas make a profit. So when I say reducing anxiety and not eliminating anxiety, what I mean is, therefore, that increasing the probability of success is the job that a good professional can do for you. Many a time we think about the fact that, I am intelligent enough to guess that this great technology is going to change the world and I've got to be investing into this particular product. But believe me, the last time it happened with airlines. When the aircraft was invented, the people thought world changed. You could get on a flight and fly anywhere in the world. Airlines are the worst performing stocks in the world. A great idea may not necessarily make great profit, and if you want to know what works for you, that's where a professional comes in to diversify that for you. The third reason why you may not need a financial advisor is if you think you want to always follow a benchmark. When you follow a benchmark, what you're doing is you're stretching your personal risk to match the risk of that damn benchmark. That's what you're doing. It's the old story of Procrustes, who was an innkeeper in ancient Greece. He had beds of one size. Any guest who came into that hotel, if the guest was short, he would stretch them to the size of the bed. If the guest was long, he would cut their foot off to fit into the bed. It's a fictional story, but it's the story of benchmarks. If you're following a benchmark, you're stretching your risk to fit that of a benchmark. For a professional, they know that there is only one benchmark, your goal. And a goal-based approach is why a professional works so well in reducing the anxiety, because now it's your personal benchmark. It's not the benchmark that's printed in 1,000 fact sheets or in the newspapers, and this is why we tend to believe in our expectations that index ne itna diya, index ne waisa kiya, and we feel that the person hasn't done a good job or I haven't got good returns, because whose benchmark are you following? Once you start following your personal benchmark, all of those anxieties go away, because you know you're going towards your goal. So what is the best approach then to work with a personal finance professional? What is it that you should be setting your expectations with, and what is it that you should be doing? And I think that for investors who are watching, think about this as a relationship in which you have a 50-50 partnership. And the reason I say 50-50 partnership is because start with the expectation that 50% of the responsibility is yours. The other 50 is the personal financial planners, because it's your money and your behavior that actually matters. So the second is, imagine and think that in your long investment history, as Ashish mentioned earlier, it's not 10, 20, or 30 years. It can be 20, 30 years of working and 30, 40 years of retirement. It could be a good 50, 60 years. Imagine that you're definitely going to have 10 or 12 market drops of 20% in your lifetime. Start with that expectation that that's going to happen, right? But the potential to destroy your wealth is behavioral, not financial. It's about what you do at those moments of breaks that matter. And it's not necessary that it destroys your wealth, right? And the last is that, how do you know if you can trust your professional? Because ultimately, this business is about trust. And that, I think, everybody who is sitting here or in the audience will agree that it is about trust. How do you know that you can trust your professional? Let me tell you that technology is extremely competent. It can give you many, many answers, and any answer, and all answers. A trusted professional will occasionally tell you, I don't know. Technology never tells you, I don't know. It will give you some answer. That answer may not suit you. It could be a lie. You will never know. But when your professional tells you, I don't know, I'm going to find out and come back, you know you're dealing with somebody you can trust. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, once again. I hope that that was useful on why, oh, okay. Thank you. It's very difficult to, it's very difficult to do that a repeat time, but thank you. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm overwhelmed. Thank you. Thank you. Please.
Okay, one song everybody sings. We would want you to ensure that everybody sings एक कोई ऐसा गाना जो सबको पता हो, and let us sing it together.
मर जाएंगे
अरे वाह,
हम तो लुट जाएंगे, ऐसी बातें किया ना करो, आज जाने की जिद ना करो. There you go. Nobody
Mr. Menon. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.